I'll call the meeting of the Public Works to order. Clerk, take the roll call.
Alderman Sevenik.
Here.
Alderman Kruger.
Here.
Alderman Zielinski.
Here.
Alderman Grady.
Here.
Alderman Benner. Alderman Nichols.
Here.
Alderman Taylor.
Here.
Alderman Collier has been excused.
Thank you, Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes January 2nd, 2018. Alderman Zielinski.
Thank you. I motion to approve the minutes of January 2nd, 2018.
Motion made by Alderman Zielinski, second by Alderman Kruger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, communications. City of Menasha Foundation Drain and Sub Pump Inspections. Director Ramadowski, please.
So this is a letter that went out to residents, pretty much bounded 3rd Street to Little Lake Butamore, Fox River to Milwaukee Street. What we've been doing for a number of years now is going into people's homes and checking to see if there's any illegal connections, so sump pumps or foundation drains connected into the sanitary system. So what we're doing is we're looking to see if there are any of these illegal connections. If there are, we do give the homeowner 60 days to repair it so that it is no longer an illegal connection. We do offer a loan. The first $500 is covered by the city, and then 50% up to $675 total for these repairs.
Okay. And what if a home doesn't have a sub pump?
If the home doesn't have a sump pump, it would have a foundation drain most likely, and some are connected to sanitary sewer, some are not, so they just check into the drain of in the basement, and they try and determine if there's an extra pipe coming in or not. You know, if there is, then that foundation drain does need to be converted into a sump
Okay,
pump.
so looking at a floor drain in somebody's basement without a sub pump, then how would you determine where that drain runs to?
There's always going to be one drain running out to the roadway for the sanitary lateral. Extra drains that are coming in kind of at 90-degree angles, or those are what we're looking for, and those are the foundation drains.
How would you know that if it's all covered in cement? How would you know that?
The drain in the basement is not. Every basement should have a floor drain that is not covered by cement. So we'd take a flashlight and we just look in that floor drain and see what we can see. Oh. And if it's determined that a foundation drain is connected, then we do have that be removed.
Okay. Any other questions? Alderman Zielinski.
Thank you. Recently went through this on a house that we purchased that the city went through and tested to see if there was a foundation drain. They said there wasn't, but we found out there was. How do you guys determine if you don't see one through like a flashlight or anything else, but the basement doesn't have a sump pump? What will you guys proceed with that then?
Honestly, if we don't see it in that drain, we don't have a ton of other options unless we go through and smoke test.
It's not forcefully?
Yeah.
You can't forcefully have someone put a sump pump in, you're saying?
Yeah, we can't forcibly unless we can determine
that
for sure that the floor drain has a illegal connection.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further discussion on that, we'll move to item 2, Main Street project update. Director Ramadowski, please.
So as you all know, we are reconstructing Main Street. Plans haven't changed a ton since the last time that we spoke. Roadway is being decreased from 45-foot back of curb to 43-foot back of curb to back of curb. This is being done for ADA requirements and also to slow down traffic down the Main Street. We did add a 18-inch colored concrete terrace area. We are recommending a dark gray color, and that will be the new kind of downtown theme, just to kind of make it simple, and not too bright, but also still look good. There are landscaping areas within the project. The contractor will be leaving the landscaped areas as 12 inches of dirt, and then the Parks Department will be coming in at a later date and planting trees or shrubs or, whatever they determine at that time. The 5 landscape areas that are going to be put in near the marina will have conduits run to them and electrical outlets if it's feasible with the electrician. We believe that it is. It's just a matter of getting, that final design plan in from the landscaping. And then we did design the light pole base layout to accommodate both options A and C of the lighting, but we are continuing to also utilize our current lights for the foreseeable future, the next couple of years, until we can have a citywide streetlight project. The streetlights that will be removed and taken down will have LED bulbs put in at a cost of $1,750 total. Not complete upgrades, but they are going to change over the bulbs. The project did go out in the paper about 2 weeks ago, and then bids will be opened on February 13th, with the award going to the Board of Public Works next meeting.
Alderman Stefanik.
Thank you. Have you received anything yet?
We haven't received any bids, but we have received numerous interested contractors who have submitted the proper paperwork.
Okay, good. One thing that was brought to my attention by some of the merchants in the downtown area, and I couldn't really find it on here, is they're concerned about, if we're doing this project, why don't we, while we're doing the project, put in electrical outlets near the larger trees? So for the holidays, we could illuminate those.
Over in the marina area, we are putting electrical conduits to all of those planters for that reason.
Planters or trees?
Well, it's the planters that will have trees in them, or potential trees.
Plant areas or
Yeah,
planters?
They're going to be plant
You don't wanna be
areas
putting
until the
plant-
Parks Department designs them. We don't know exactly what's going in. Our arborists and Parks Department will be determining exactly what goes in there.
Okay, I want to, Mr. Chairman, for the record, I would like to be noted that I addressed that issue, that it be reflected in the minutes that I expressed an interest that electrical outlets be added to some of the major tree line areas for potential event or holiday illumination of the lights. Thank you.
Would you want to put that into a motion that we require that?
No.
Okay. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. Josh, when we were talking about this the last go-around, it was my understanding that the lights couldn't be LED without a significant cost in replacing ballast and all that, and we couldn't find parts like bases and all that, and it's looking like now we can do the lights and you found bases. I'm a little bit confused on what happened between the last time and this.
We haven't found bases or poles or anything that's going to replace what we have out there. It's going to be pretty much just replace the light bulb and stand it back up. When I talked with you guys earlier about the substantial cost of $2,800 to $4,200, that was for rehab of the pole to make it last for numerous years. We're trying to do a 5-year Band-Aid to get us through to the point where we can replace all of the lights at one time.
Okay. I just, for some reason, remember when, Alderman Taylor did bring up the whole thing about just screwing in a light bulb, and there were several people that said, no, that wasn't, that couldn't happen, and, I just wanted to know what happened between the last meeting and this one, because it just doesn't match up to what was said last time fully, so.
And I spoke with our electrician, and this is what he recommends. When I spoke with him earlier, he recommended that if we do go the stand up, take down and stand up route, it was to make the poles to the point where they're going to last, 15, 20 years and look good. This is just going to be take them down, replace the absolute minimum of parts, put in the LED bulb and stand them back up.
So basically buying time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Director, on the front page here, second paragraph down, about halfway through, it says that there will be an 18-inch dark gray colored concrete terrace along the curb line to create a visual separation between the edge of the roadway and the sidewalk area. And where did the dark gray color come from?
Discussion with our planning staff and our mayor and, others within the city, it was determined that the dark gray would be the most eye-appealing.
Is that three of you?
I believe there was 4 or 5 of us had discussed it.
Okay, so yourself?
Myself, the mayor, Sam, and then Tim on tour, and I think there was 1 or 2 others that.
We seem to have a theme in the city where we've been going with this red theme on the 3rd Street corridor, some of our crosswalks, and people seem to like it. And I'm wondering why we would go. There's nothing exciting about dark gray. Concrete's dark gray when it rains out. So why the 50 shades of gray here?
The crosswalks will still be red. The reason that the terrace was determined to be gray was, just kind of match in with the patio areas. We didn't feel that it was going to be a good idea to have a large patio area be bright red, colored concrete. So we wanted that to match the dark gray terrace area. And we felt that dark gray was going to be the best looking color to kind of maintain consistency. We also wanted to make the downtown separate from the rest of the city. We don't want to we want to make it its own unique area. And we felt that would do that.
All the business meetings I've gone to, and they all say that we want this pop, we want this bright colors, and we want the city to be exciting, and there's nothing exciting about gray. And
if you want to make a motion to change the color of the terrace area, that's fine. I mean, nothing is set in stone. We can still, issue a change order and addendum at some point.
Thanks for allowing me to do that. Also, I had a question on the width of the main street. Okay, we're going to have Loop the Lake. We're going to do Water Street, and if you go down Appleton Road, bicycles have a lane right out in the middle of the street, outside the parking lane even. And by creating that, it, I guess, makes it safer for cyclists out there. So why would we be narrowing our main street and then probably encouraging bicyclists to use the sidewalks in our downtown area, which is, you don't want that in the downtown area because the storefronts, people walk out, boom, there's a bike. I worked at graphic packaging, and boy, you had to look twice before you walked out the door. There were people coming down Washington Street on a bike. And so I don't see that safety connection with reducing the width of the main street.
The designated bike route for that Loop the Lake and into Washington Park is Broad Street. That's where the designated bike lanes will be. As far as Main Street, we could not make the road wide enough to accommodate both a bike lane and parking and still maintain ADA requirements. The reason we had to narrow the roadway in the first place is just to maintain ADA requirements. We actually could not make it work with the current roadway setup. So that's why we had to narrow it.
I mean, that's the reason we're building a new Racine Street Bridge, so we can have a bike lane. And then downtown, we're making it unsafe for people, because I go to the farmer market every week. I get out of my car and you got to be very careful. It's pretty narrow there between a passing car and a parked car. And to make that any smaller, to me, that's just, to me, that's not good planning at all, and it's not good safety. And I'm sure there's a engineering manual like your predecessor used to recommend to, that I don't think it's safe myself.
I do want to do one comparison. The city of Oshkosh, which you all know is somewhat narrow in its roadway, that's a 38-foot roadway. We're at 43, so we're 5 foot wider than that.
I don't care about Oshkosh, I don't. I'm looking at the city of Menasha here, the streets that I use and what I experience out there every Thursday at the market. So we want a new bridge with a bike lane, but yet we want to make our downtown more dangerous, and putting the bikes on the sidewalk, that's not a good thing for our city at all. It's poor planning. And I don't know how we'd get around the wider sidewalks. I know there's a problem with a couple buildings here on Main Street, but Alderman Stefanik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know why, I've seen millions of these plans. I have a hard time reading this one for some reason. Can you help me with the parking situation? Do we eliminate any parking with this design in certain areas, or do we add, or do you have numbers for that?
We don't have exact numbers because we are not going to be marking out individual stalls like we currently have. We feel that there's a better chance of more cars parked if you have just a general parking area and allow people to park themselves.
That's why I couldn't find it.
So, yeah, so that's why you couldn't find it. And then, so we haven't done an individual stall count, but we do believe that we are gaining one stall out near Marina Place, where we are moving the side or the crosswalk over about 10 feet. So we believe that we're gaining one stall there, and we shouldn't be losing any on the rest of the project.
I'm not familiar with other downtowns that eliminate the white lines for parking. I'm concerned about that. I'm not against it. I've just never seen it before.
And by doing it this way, we are still giving ourselves the option of coming in and painting the spaces if we determine that we need to end up painting the spaces. But studies that I've found have shown that unless you have metered parking, there's really no benefit to marking out the individual spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Attorney Captain,
I was just going to mention,
I did turn you on. There.
I was just going to mention that under Chapter 32, condemnation is available if you wish to have wider streets for transportation purposes. You're able to condemn property.
Well, probably the only two buildings that are affected it is the old City Hall and the Anchor Bank building. That would be the only properties that we couldn't go wider on.
I believe Becker Electric and the Bryn building would also be affected by that.
Now, there's quite a buffer out there in front of Becker Electric and the Bryn building.
But the property line actually ends about a foot or two outside their building, and if we do increase the sidewalk, it would possibly encroach on their building, which...
But we also have all that green space out there too in front of that sidewalk area too. So there's quite a bit of that. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. Really quick to Alderman Stefanik's question about painting lines. I can absolutely confirm that Des Moines, Iowa does not have any parking spot. It's not painted downtown. And their lanes, they actually have 4 lanes in most of their downtown, going through the downtown also. And they're narrow. I think we just have to keep in mind that we have to work with what our downtown is at the moment, and we have to meet certain requirements. And some people don't like the narrower lanes, you know, but there's a reason for it, and I do see it all over the Midwest, and I can navigate it with a big trailer on my truck, and I've never had anybody run out in front of me though, you know, so I can't contest to that, but I said there's some limitations we do have with our downtown that we do have to work with on it, so I just wanted to make that point.
The other thing is I know that Alderman Sevenick was worried about 12-foot lane widths. We are still having a 12-foot lane width. What we are doing is cutting down the parking width by 1 foot from 9 to 8.
And that's where I said I saw the problem out there getting out of my car and with a passing car. It's pretty tight out there. So,
You live a block away, you should be walking to the farmer's
yeah.
market.
Thanks. Seeing no other
We gotta do the lights.
discussion, I would like to make a motion that we stay with what we've been doing in the city with the red concrete terrace area along the curb line to create a visual separation as we had on 3rd Street and other places with the red brick on the city square. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Zelinski. Any discussion? Alderman Zelinski.
Yes, thank you. I don't know who this would be, probably for Mr. Domsky. Would this have a fiscal impact, changing the color?
Not a significant impact at all at this point.
Thank you.
Alderman Benner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we coloring the concrete now?
The terrace area will be colored, the sidewalk areas will be colored, and then the patio areas out near the Bryn and out near the fountain will be colored.
So if you're just changing the color from a gray to a red, it should be a no-cost impact on
Yeah.
this project.
Yeah, it's going to be very minimal at most. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine unless it's just a difference in the color cost or something.
Yeah.
Or standards. Maybe the cleanup of the trucks, but usually, no matter what, you color them, that's the fee,
is.
so, thank you.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern with the red, though, has been the fading. Red is an automatic fader. And in fact, when the state of Wisconsin got their license plates and the new plates and they had the red, I said, those are gonna start fading, and if you notice, they're all fading now. Then it almost looks pink. So I think the gray is fine. I'm gonna stick with the gray.
Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. There had to have been a logical reason why everybody went towards the gray. If you don't mind me asking, what was the actual technical reason that gray was over red on the decision with everybody?
Okay, Director Schrader.
Thank you. So when we started looking at kind of setting it apart, you know, you mentioned 3rd Street, that does have the brick pattern. This will not have that brick stamp embedded in it. So even if it was red, it wouldn't look exactly like 3rd Street, as well as we've heard from our street superintendent that it is the red it is harder to maintain. You go through, you have to seal it almost every year at a cost. Not that you wouldn't as gray, but you wouldn't notice it as much. And over time, if it really faded, it matches right back in with the standard concrete.
I don't think that's the fade they're talking about. The color's not fading. What happens is the clear coat that they put on, the clear coat fades over time. If you had blue or whatever color on there, and maybe we should be going with the city colors, blue.
Chairman, I still
Alderman
want to say
Kruger.
something. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sorry. But no, I do agree with Alderman Sevenick. I do know that red does not interact with UV light. That it's one of the worst colors for UV light. In fact, you take red in water, you take it down 5 feet, there's no more red. It looks gray anyhow. It's not a color that actually interacts with UV light all that great. And I do think that it would be, I think it'd cost more in the long run just to have the red because of the maintenance and all that, and eventually it will fade. But again, I'm just talking about my experience with doing colors and all that in the fishing industry, and I know that red does not interact with UV light. It's one of the worst colors for UV light to interact with, and I'm comfortable with the gray, and I'm sure it'd be looking something like the desks here, and I think it would make a nice border. That's my opinion. I mean, I'm happy with the gray. I don't think we need to switch it to red.
Alderman Zelensky.
Thank you. Could we do the option of not coloring it at all? Just have the natural concrete look?
That is an option. We kind of thought that the color would kind of make the sidewalk pop a little bit more, and especially those patio areas. You really want to make those pop out as areas that you want to sit down, enjoy a meal, or enjoy just sitting down and talking with a friend. You wanted to kind of give it a different look than the sidewalk itself.
Is there a cost savings if we did it without the coloring?
There would be a cost savings. I'm not sure the exact amount, but yes, there would be a cost savings.
And would that inflict less maintenance then too, because it's not colored and we don't have to get that yearly spray on?
It would be less maintenance as well.
Better for the environment too, because we're aware of that up here. Thank you.
I got it. I thought he was going to let him make a motion. Alderman Benner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to comment on the coloring of the concrete, and there's two different ways you can color concrete. You can float it in on the top with your bowl float, or you can do it in color with the concrete actually being that color. And where you dye the concrete, you end up with a better product. The other part is, of course, Sam mentioned it, that you need to seal it about every 3 years to maintain its appearance and to help prevent, it gives it some UV protection as well. I just wanted to say that, and we are pouring it, so really the big difference would be make sure that you're sealing it, and I think our crews do a pretty good job of staying up on sealing our colored concrete spaces about every 3 years right now as it is. So if people were inclined to go that path, that is, we are looking at doing it the right way, and I think our crews do a good job of maintaining that. Thank you.
Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. Josh, out of curiosity, we already seal coat 3rd Street and all that all the time. I mean, what is the cost of that every 3 years to do 3rd Street?
Our street superintendent estimated that the cost of Main Street to do that would be about $1,300 a year.
$1,300 a year?
Yep.
So to average $1,300 years and do it every 3 years, so, okay, thank you.
Alderman Purpose.
The other reason that we had looked at gray versus red.
Sorry, I apologize. Mayor
okay.
Purpose.
Was because the area in front of One Menasha Center will not have any color in it because we are not replacing that area. So you're going to have a big gap then in the center of downtown that'd be very noticeable, unless we were going to replace that section of terrace as well. That was the other reasoning behind something that would look more consistent throughout the downtown, the gray would.
I guess consistency is what I was going after. I wasn't on the council at that time, but there was great discussion on the 3rd Street project, and I like tying things in and making a theme in the city, and I thought by continuing that would be that. And the mayor just got done talking about consistency and looking, and when you start a theme, I think you should continue with it. And also, just like the lights, if we start doing half the lights, it's going to be 20 years before the rest of the lights are done, and then you don't have that theme going through the community. So I just wanted to stay consistent. Alderman Zelensky.
Thank you. Would this be time sensitive to determine this coloring option and having it colored or not colored?
If I know tonight, I can put it in as an addendum to the contract, so the contractor would know it before they bid. If I put it in after the February 13th timeline, then it would be a change order, which may incur extra costs. We don't know at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Zelinski, this is a recommendation of the council, and if you'd like the director to have some costs for you by the council meeting, we could have that too. So if you could put together some costs, plain concrete versus colored concrete, and have that for the next meeting. And
If it does wait till the next meeting, it will be a change order at that point.
but we have no choice unless we call a meeting before that. I don't think we'll do that. Clerk, Alderman Severnick asked that something be recorded in the minutes. I don't record it here, so are we going to record that in the minutes, what he had asked for?
He had asked that he address the issue, that he expressed interest with the electrical outlets be added to the tree line areas.
Okay, that's it. That'll be reflected in the minutes.
Yeah, if
Thank
that,
you.
if that's what you're saying.
The tree lighting, Director Ramadowski,
We're on a motion right now for the color stamp, what color we're gonna go, so we gotta stay with that.
yeah, we can do that. Any more discussion on the colored concrete? Alderman Kruger.
Yeah, do we have a motion on the table right now? Okay, so, and the motion is
Switch to red.
switched to red. Did Alderman Zelinski just, what was,
He said for the sake of discussion.
okay. All right. Oh, one other question, you said if you have to bring back information by the next meeting, there will be, it'll be a change order involved with it?
Yeah, so my intention is whatever color you guys decide on tonight, I can put out an addendum to the plan saying that color, and then if it somehow changes at council, then it would be a change order from
Change order.
that. So,
Thank you.
Is it too late for discussion, or?
No? We can back up. I didn't call it yet. Debbie, I want the microphones back on. I got kicked off here. All I have is the vote.
I think because that's up there, we can't talk.
There we go. Alderman,
You probably don't want me to talk, James, for
Alderman
sure. What am I
Severnick.
gonna say?
go ahead.
I just want this body to understand that right now, what is in the plan is gray. If we change to red, that means it's gonna be a change order, which means additional cost. A change order is additional cost?
No.
right now, if the Board of Public Works,
Contractor, it will be.
if the Board of Public Works decides that it was going to be red tonight,
Okay.
I could put out an addendum that it's going to be red for the contract, and then provided that the council approves that red in 2 weeks, it will not be a change order.
Okay.
However, if the council, if I put in, say it approves as red, and then in 2 weeks the council approves that it's gray again,
Okay.
then it would be a change order.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Sepp, okay. You know, it would be nice that we get this stuff ahead of time before the bids go out and get the whole plan so we can make adjustments to it like this in the future. So it's kind of awkward that we start trying to make change orders at this time. So certainly these projects should be out in front at least a month ahead of time for the bids so we can have a good understanding of it. We'll take a-
Actually, the motion should say changing the color concrete to red. It's not staying, because it's not, the recommendation isn't red. Recommendation is gray. So it should read, recommend changing to red concrete for the downtown from gray, something to that effect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If that's too hard, just as long as the rest of the body understands it.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, we'll take a roll call.
Motion fails on roll call 1-6.
It's all red, so we must want red. Item 3, Main Street project, lamp post. I had did a little investigation during the last couple of weeks here, and because of the numbers that were said to us, the $2,800 to $4,500 to change over to LED, I thought was a little excessive. So during my investigation, I found that these lights that we have here in the city of Neenah has also changed over theirs to this LED lamp. Pretty much straightforward. You take out the ballast, just like I had mentioned up here, and you take out the ballast, wire nut the wires together, and change the bulb. And you don't have to have a ballast in it, and all the electronics are in the bulb. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple, at a cost of $58.50. So I guess in the future, maybe we got to be more specific on when we're talking dollar numbers up here. We're looking at almost $800,000 for lights, and I'm always a person of looking for information. So I appreciate that. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to reiterate something that Josh said earlier on my question to him, because I did ask him about that, and he explained that the thousands of dollar cost was not just for the light bulb, it was for the reconstruction of the entire lamp post. So the light, if I'm understanding that correct? And so I understand that the cost of the lights and all that, but the number that he was giving was with the understanding that the light posts have to be reconstructed from bottom to top, from what Josh is saying. And I was thinking the same thing along the line that you were right away too, and that's why I asked Josh that question. And it just wasn't the LED bulb alone; it was the whole entire lamp post.
That's not the way I took it either. I took it that we were getting this information on the high cost, and I looked at changing it over as we have in the square right now to LED, and I couldn't get an answer on who did that or why they did that. So, Alderman Severnick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go a little bit further because I asked that question directly. If we couldn't just keep our existing lights and use an LED light bulb, and I was told that can't be done. And I feel I was misled. I'm disappointed. I commend Alderman Taylor. Again, Alderman Taylor has gone out beyond his responsibilities, and he went out and he found additional information for us, and I commend you for that. And I was given two costs, one for brand new ones, and then two to keep the existing and change out the lights so that we can convert it to LED. And that number was like $1,700. So from about $75 to $1,700 is a big world of difference. And I think we had too much debate up here and confusion. Communication up here is garbage. That needs to straighten out. And I'm not happy about it, and I wouldn't have to talk this way if we would have had better communications. I'm seeing that more and more in a lot of things that we're doing, and we just need to do a better job of that. I need to do a better job of that. So let's work on that, because that figure of almost $600,000 just blew me away. And not having a different alternative really puzzled me. And I know I asked that question, and I was told different.
Also, I think there's an opportunity. I got a couple of people out there doing some investigative detective work for us on the existing poles, and I'm confident we could find a pole that's very, very close that you probably wouldn't see the difference, or we can find some of the original material out there yet. So hopefully we can address that since we're short 6 poles. So maybe we could find a close cousin to that or an identical match. Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll move on to item. That happened, okay. Item E, change order Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company. I will entertain a motion for that. Alderman Zelinski.
Thank you. I motion for the change order of Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company Incorporated, Contract Unit 2017-04, Fox River Loop the Lake Bridge Crossing, add $7,404.27. Change order number 3.
Motion made by Alderman Zelinski, second by Alderman Kruger. Discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
Item 2, change order Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company. Would anybody like to make a motion on this? Seeing none, I guess we'll move to item 3. Payment Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company.
Alderman Nichols, that's it.
Oh, okay. Hold on a minute here. Everybody's popping up.
Now 3.
All right, let's go back to item 2, to the change order Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company, and I'll entertain a motion for item 2. Alderman Nichols.
Oh, I was going to yield the floor. I'm not sure mine.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion for item 2? Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. I will make a motion to recommend to the council change order Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Incorporated Contract Unit 2017-04, Fox River Loop the Lake Bridge Crossing, add $51,060.06, change order number 4.
Okay, is there a second? Alderman Bennett made a second. Discussion. Alderman Nichols.
Let's get a summary of what this change order includes.
So this includes the canopy of the bridge. So the original plans did not call out for a canopy. So the original trestle trail bridge does have that canopy in the middle. I know it's a very popular place to stop and sit and relax. Nina has found a sponsor for their portion of the canopy. So they are recommending to put that canopy in on their bridge. We have not found a sponsor with it. In addition, we have a number of change orders that are still to be determined at this point. We have about $26,000 in railroad flagging that is still outstanding. We do not know the final amount on that, but it's $1,300 a day. We had budgeted $15,000 in there. Another one that's a big change order that could come up is storm sewer. Storm sewer in the area has to be removed and replaced due to a condition as part of the bridge abutment work. Another one that's out there is the engineering inspection. Because Grafe's original contract did not include the engineering inspection, we had to addend their contract to include that. That's estimated right now at $13,900. And then another one that is out there is possibly having to use a crane to help with the lighting for Faith. So that is another change order that may be out there. So there are a number of other change orders out there that are pretty much required for the project to go forward. This is more of a amenity at this point, and it's up to the council whether they want to approve or deny it.
And, oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Nichols is done. In our conversation that I had with you, there's a possibility that we can get the flagging reduced since the railroad doesn't use that about every 2 weeks, that we wouldn't have to have somebody there every day.
It is a very outside chance that we get the flagging reduced. The contractor that we are working with has never seen the flagging not be required. However, we are going to definitely give it a try to contact the railroad company and determine whether we can, only have flagging when they have scheduled trains. However, it's the railroad company and they tend not to listen to anyone except for themselves. So
Yeah, they're still king from the 1800s yet. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. No, I should have said for the sake of discussion when I made that motion. The contingency fund, is that part of the donated money or is that part of the city money?
that is that 7% that was added to the contract at the time of award. So it was pretty much half our money, half grant money. So but that $96,000, if we go over that, then we do have to come back to council for approval for more money.
Yeah. When this whole thing was approved, I could have sworn everybody was assured that every aspect of this bridge was included in the bid to begin with. Why, is Nina driving this? What's driving this on why this was all of a sudden added? Because I thought everything was included, and I could have sworn that everybody was reassured that these were the costs and it wasn't gonna go any higher.
I know that Brian was more involved with the design part.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at answering that question. I think the idea came up in discussions with the contractor. I think they felt like it would be a nice addition to the project. So I think that was where the idea was born, and it was, we just got to the point relatively recently where we finally got a dollar amount assigned to that. It frankly was a little higher than what we thought in our earlier discussions. We thought we were going to be in a little lower neighborhood than 51,000 for this. So I guess that's why you have the recommendation that you do. It's more or less a neutral recommendation. The staff does not feel real strongly, I don't think, about this.
So this came from the contractor that's building the trestle right now, his recommendation to add this. So he basically recommended to the city to do this where he's gonna get paid more money to do the project. Am I not understanding this right?
That maybe is one way to look at it. I think they honestly were looking at, their name is sort of attached to this project, and they sort of like the pier caps, we sort of decorated those up a little bit with the stone look. I think this is along the same lines. They, want the best end result in their eyes, and so I think that's where it really came from.
I'll be honest, that's messed up. I'm going to withdraw my motion.
The motion's on the, I'm sorry. The motion was made and seconded. The body's going to have to dispose of that, so we can't back up at this time. Alderman Crotty?
Thank you, Chairman. I guess I'm looking at this at that contingency amount also. If you get to $96,000 and it looks like it's gone in a couple of these things already. And
If we do go ahead and do this canopy, yes, it would be very, very low at the end of the project, and we still have some stuff outstanding, so.
okay, and echoing on what Brian Tungate said, more or less, it was a suggestion by the contractor to do this. It wasn't his idea to do this, it's a suggestion. So bring it in front of the council, bring it in front of us, and we don't have to accept this. I think Alderman Kruger's looking at it that way too, saying, wow, that's a lot of money for just a covering canopy on this. So I find it hard because I know we're going to need that extra money along the way with this project. So I will not be voting for this $51,000 addition. Thank you.
Alderman Benner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really wasn't going to speak on this because until Alderman Kruger spoke, and I just want to clear something up from my perspective anyways, is that this contractor donated a lot of money towards this project to make it possible. And when we're kind of talking about when they make a suggestion like this, not necessarily a recommendation, but a suggestion they could do this, it is about a total package and trying to turn something over that, in their opinion, is a better project. And yeah, there's no doubt that this would make this nicer. And if we can get a sponsor, I'm all on board. And I just don't want to create a perception that we think that they might be trying to actually profit from this or something, even though you're in business. That's what one of the reasons you're in business. But they're just trying to suggest that we could have a little bit better product for what we're building here. And I agree that our contingency is tough. If we get a sponsor, I'm on board. Otherwise, we need to kind of hold the line on where we are with this. Thank you.
Alderman Sevenin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who is the sponsor in Neenah?
I don't know who that is.
I mean, that would really help me. It's unfortunate. I think it's been stated too that half of this money is the grant and donated money. The other half is our portion, which we should be paying. I agree that we should possibly look for a sponsor. I don't think we should think that this project should be dead in the water. And Alderman Benner's absolutely right. This contractor has gone above and beyond, and I don't think for 1 second they're trying to fill their pockets or anything. There should be no suggestion of that. They've donated literally, I think, well over $1 million towards this, and we still will have contingency money if we do this left over. I do have issues with this flagging. In my entire life, I've only seen a train go in that one location one time in my life, once. And you know when it was? Like about a month ago. And I couldn't believe, I didn't know they were even using that anymore. Apparently all of a sudden now they're gonna use it. It goes nowhere. It's basically a track that goes to nowhere. So I think that cost is what's killing the possibility of us getting our half of having this canopy. If we could lower that cost, I think we should do this. In most cases, I probably would have been the first person up here that said, you know, this is bunk, but one thing I know too is that we're gonna look back. I can guarantee you, we're gonna look back one day and say, boy, we should have done that. And then maybe one day it will be decided to be done, and now it's gonna cost $75,000. So I don't want us to throw this out right away. I think we really need to think about this. I'm in favor of it. You know what I'm not in favor of? Having the color red. I think it should be blue with a big M on it. So maybe you provided the wrong picture. Maybe you should have brought a blue one in with a big M on it and maybe a blue jay or something. So, but let's not throw this out. Let's seriously consider it. I think we'll be sorry later, like I said, and we don't want to pull up short on this.
Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. If there's aldermen up here that are contemplating that this would be a acceptable project if the flagging cost or some other sponsor could be found, then I am going to make a motion to table this until that type of sponsor or funding can be found for it, and it can be brought back at that time. So I'd like to make a motion to table.
Motion made by Alderman, let's see here. Alderman Kruger and second by Alderman Zelinski. And Alderman Benner did have his light on, so I'm going to let him finish with this discussion.
I really like what Alderman Sevenich said about keeping it, maintaining it, but the thing that we really need to focus on is the status of what our available funds are. But also, you know, if we do build it later, it is going to cost a lot more, but right now we do get it for half price because we have grant dollars to help support it if we can do that. So I think it is important that we do keep our eye on it, but we do need to make sure that our costs are where they need to be. Because if there's not money out there really, other than streetlight savings now maybe, or something off of Main Street, but I don't want to go there, but anyway. So I am in favor of tabling this and continuing the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, Director Remedowski, I think in the memo here is, isn't there a timeline here that we need to, by the February 18th meeting, or?
Yeah, the contractor is willing to keep with this price provided that it is approved.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Yes, state your point of order.
There's no discussion on the table. We vote on the motion, there's no discussion about it on the table.
Okay, I was just going to ask, after we finished, I was going to ask the attorney here if that was debatable or not, or if we can continue discussion on what we had here. No? Okay, we will take a vote on if you want to table this. But there is some other information that's pertinent to this tabling. So the clerk will take a roll call. So a motion to table? Is-
Can reconsider.
Is to table? Yeah.
But we did have a motion on the floor before that. Attorney Captain,
Supersedes.
we did have a motion on the floor before the tabling that we were discussing. Do we have to stop at that motion now with the tabling motion?
Table would take precedence and there's no discussion.
Okay. So we'll take a roll call on, should we table or should we continue with the discussion?
I think we should postpone it.
Better show it. Motion fails on roll call. Or, excuse me, carries on roll call, 4-3.
Okay. So item 2 is tabled, and we'll move on to item 3. I entertain a motion, payment for Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company. Alderman Zelinski.
Thank you. I motion for payment to Pfeiffer Brothers Construction Company for the cost of the Loop the Lake Bridge crossing in the amount of $298,757.74, payment number 3.
Is there a second? And second by Alderman Kruger. Any discussion? We'll take a roll call.
Motion carried on roll call, 7-0.
Item 4, Pavement Keller Incorporated. I'll entertain a motion for that. Alderman Zelinski.
Thank you. I motion to approve the payment to Keller Incorporated, project number 65056 for the Police Department Evidence Room addition and the amount of $110,000, payment number 3.
Motion made by Alderman Zelinski, second by Alderman Kruger. Any discussion? Alderman Severnik.
Chief, you're still with us. Can you give us a little update of where we are with this particular project? I think I seen the dumpster leave now, or,
The dumpster is gone.
yeah, okay.
There's
so
no canopies to
I'm
be
thinking maybe
installed.
there's progress here, so.
There's a lot of progress. So basically, we are just waiting for the temporary evidence lockers to be installed, and the area used to process the evidence itself is pretty much usable now, so officers have been able to use that. So we're moving right along. We will only have the final payment that'll be left, and don't anticipate any real change orders with that. So we are on track, and very appreciative to what we've been able to do there.
Chief, I noticed the lights are laying on the front of the building there in kind of a organized pile. Will those be replaced soon?
Those will be put back up. That's obviously where some of the trucks were driving to access the building. And actually, Brian really wants to get those moved up because he's been struggling with trying to make sure that no one was damaging the, whatever you'd call it, the bolts that the lights actually go into. So he's waiting for the next snow melt now to get those things back up.
The February thaw, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, we'll take a roll call.
Motion carried on roll call, 7-0.
Thank you, Clerk. Item 5, 133 Water Street, postponed from January 2nd, 2018. What is your pleasure on this? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you. Based on the information provided in the memo that city staff gathered over the last month, I make a motion to recommend to council that we allow city crews to remove the building at 133 Water Street and restore the site.
And is there a second? Seeing no second.
There was a second.
Who did? Benner. Second by Alderman Benner. Discussion. Alderman Nichols, you're still on?
I am.
Yeah.
The memo I see came from the mayor. I don't know if the mayor would like to address the information in the memo or if Director Radomski can do that. Great, thank you.
Mayor Marcus.
At the meeting in January, the council asked for a couple things,
Could you
mainly.
pull your microphone closer a little bit? Thanks.
Asked for a couple things, mainly the zoning and restrictions if the building was removed. This was a parcel that was in the city before 1982, so the current zoning would apply, and there is no setback from water's edge for buildings within the R1, R1A, R2, R2A, no. And there is no setback in the I1 or the C1 zonings. If it was changed to R1, R1A, R2, R2A, or C2, it would require a 50-foot setback. So we could build there depending on what the zoning is. And the other question was about reuse of the building, and we did check with the state, and building code requirements would require all those IEBC code requirements. You also asked about some of the other costs. There is asbestos likely in the building that we would require at least $1 million liability insurance if someone did come in to take down that building or reuse that building. We did have a scrap metal company, the one that we currently use at Public Works, and I forget who it is. They did come in and take a look. They said there wasn't a lot of scrap metal within that building. They thought $500 or so worth of scrap metal in that building. And then the cost of the slab to still remove. So that is why we recommended that it probably isn't feasible for someone to come in and reuse that building someplace else or take it for the scrap value.
I guess that's the word probably that I would certainly have a problem with, but we'll move on to Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Chairman. If someone could refresh my memory, I thought part of the discussion also was to actually try to put the actual building on the market for removal to see if there was any interest out there in the public on that whatsoever. Was that, well, I mean, was that tried and no one was interested, or?
No, you asked, could we put it on there, and we did check, that's why I checked with all these building code requirements. So that if this building was moved to any other location, it would have to meet all those code requirements at the new location. And a lot of these are structural. I don't know if Alderman Benner has better knowledge on what all these things mean, but there were several structural requirements that you would have to meet with this building, and we don't know if it would meet those requirements or not.
Okay, so it wasn't put out there to
We
see
did
if
not yet at
if
this
there was
point.
any interest then?
No, we could. That's your decision at this point, if you
Well,
want to
I
do
just
that.
thought that's what it was when we discussed it last time, is that was the direction to do that, to see if there was any interest. That was my understanding though.
That was not my understanding, but if it was, I apologize.
Hey, thank you.
Alderman Zelinski.
Thank you. I just have a few comments on this. I just see this building got super political along the way with the Water Street redevelopment. We made a comment in here, whoever made this memo, the building is blighted and seen very little use. Well, that's the city's fault that it's blighted, and it's the city's fault that it's seen very little use. So vote whatever way you want on this. It's just, we're tailing this after years of neglect, and I think this could have been an excellent opportunity for a business to go in here or something else, but we chose to not do anything with the property until now, just for redevelopment purposes, and I see that as not foresighted. Thank you.
Alderman Severnik.
Well, my big issue here is what's the rush all of a sudden? Why do we want to spend money? I think we're not being told everything, again. And I'm not in favor of taking this down yet, until we know absolutely why. But let me give you a situation or a possibility. We tear it down, we do all the legwork, we do the spending, we take a building that's probably got a value of maybe over $15,000. And I have no idea what the value of the land is, but let's just mention the fact that it's on water. And then we go in and we do all the hard work and do all the spending and have the taxpayers foot the bill here. And then all of a sudden, someone across the street decides they want to develop the area, and we only sell it for the cost of the land. That is a disservice to the property taxpayers. Let's see a project first, and then if they want, they can buy the property and do the work themselves. I think it's time we stop doing everybody else's work up here on the taxpayer's dime. I'm not in favor of this at this point.
Mayor Marcus.
I do question your motivation for saying that we're not telling you everything. The only motivation here is that there is a street project coming up, and this is a rather blighted, ugly building. It would be nice to clean up that neighborhood. That's the only motivation here. I have not heard from any developer wanting this parcel. I don't believe you have, Sam? Okay. So the motivation here is to clean up the property and make the community look better. It has nothing to do with any particular project at this point.
Alderman Benner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How long has this building been vacant at this point? How many years? As long as I've been here, I don't recall anybody being in it. We spent probably a couple years working with this other company, these other folks that wanted to come in and do something where we didn't stop anybody from coming in, but we tried working with them to do a viable project for basically a nonprofit organization. And I curious as to where that next person might come from. or how we're gonna market it, or what we would do with it. And it seems like if we have something that is really unbuildable, so to speak, and if we don't have anything on the horizon, we either have to do something to market it, to try to put somebody in it, or I agree with cleaning up the area and have a clean slate for somebody to look at and do something different with. And especially since once we do redo our downtown, we redo the streets down here, hopefully it attracts more attention and gets more folks down here. So if the intent is to do nothing, I think doing nothing, you get zero results from. So if we do nothing, I'd like to hear what we're going to do as far as marketing it to try to get somebody in, and what kind of timeline we're gonna put on it before we say we have to talk about it again. Because from my experience, to do nothing gets you zero results. And so at least if you tear it down, somebody can see that they have a clean slate for something they may be able to do, or we have to figure out who's gonna be in it. So I'd be looking to hear that proposal. Thank you.
Alderman Kruger.
Thank you. Does the building interfere with the Water Street project at all? I mean, when Water Street is done, is that building in the way? It must come down in order to do the project, or is it strictly aesthetics, to get it out of there?
Director Schrader.
Thank you, Chairman. I think you all remember, during our budgetary season this fall, we did approve $20,000 to do a Water Street design engineering, to actually consult somebody to go out there and see what the best feasibility is of that street for redevelopment, for street, for trails, everything like that. That's kind of a little bit different than we've done in the past. It's kind of getting it out there, we've even seen with the downtown project of really getting the public involved, so you get those property owners involved and things like that. So if it is something that it's not precedent to remove right now, other than, possibly being blighted, we could hold off until that outcome of that design, that plan, because we should have public input at that stage as well.
Yeah. As to just tearing it down to get a fresh start, I mean, we did that with the fire station over on 47. I mean, it was tore down just for the sake of tearing it down, and that property is still vacant with no interest. I don't know, I'm torn on this. I can't see wasting the money on it and tearing it down when it doesn't need to come down at the moment. I think it's a usable building, and we did there was an interested party. I don't know exactly why they backed out or whatever. But at least there was an interest in it, so there's not any interest in that building whatsoever, and it is sitting right on the water, which makes it even better. So I'm a little conflicted on this one.
I tried to rent it at one time when I wasn't on the council, and the mayor wouldn't let me rent it. Alderman Nichols.
Thank you. Oh, and you just turned me off. Sorry.
There we go.
Thank you. The cost to remove the building and restore the site is estimated in our memo to be $5,500. It is proposed that it come from TIF 10, so it would not be levy dollars that we would be spending to take down this building. This is something that has been being worked on for as long as I've been an alderman, since 2013, and I believe it was worked on before that, and it has been a request of the neighborhood for quite some time. And I agree when Alderman Benner says that if we're going to do nothing, that nothing's not an option. Either we're going to get rid of it, or we need to do something with it, and marketing it will cost money. We're investing $20,000 in a design and engineering plan for the area. this area is also a big part of the downtown vision plan that has been worked on by our community members and will be coming to us at our next council meeting. And so all of those things together, I believe, point us in the direction of getting rid of this building. And it's my belief that we can do it now, or we can do it 5 years from now, and it'll cost us more. So why not get it done, make an investment in the neighborhood here, honor a request from residents of the city to brighten up the place that they live?
I don't know who to ask this question to, one of the directors or the mayor. Is there asbestos in the building, and have we identified that? Mayor Marcus?
We believe there is. We have not tested it at this point. It's most likely in the floor tile.
Okay. So we don't know that for sure.
We do not. We have not spent any money to test anything at this point.
Okay. I talked to a former Coast Guard officer that worked there and a former renter, and they said this building was built before the cheap pole buildings of today. It's got a superstructure inside of it. It's got pretty good sized iron inside of it. And of course, when the federal government builds something, they always overbuild. And if you built a garage today, it's almost $20,000. The superstructure inside that building and the siding on it, if somebody would reuse that or not, but I'm sure it's a superstructure people would be looking for. And, you know, I don't care about any of these state rules on here. That's not our problem. If somebody wants to buy this building from us, that's their problem to make sure that the state rules are followed. So that's just trying to trump up something that's not here. I think we'd have an opportunity of getting at least $10,000 for that structure, for the superstructure of that building, and somebody's going to have to, Attorney Captain?
I said sold.
Oh. Good. Thank you.
You just
move
bought
on.
it.
Motion
Congratulations, Alderman Taylor.
She's got it. And she's wearing red. Okay. So there's an opportunity here, I think, for us to put this out on the market. I was involved with, when we had the old Blue Jay building, we were going to tear it down for $30,000, and I suggested, let's put this out on the market out there. That building is standing down in Beaver Dam, and we sold it for $66,000. So we were going to spend $30,000 to tear it down. So somebody would love to have a business in this structure somewhere else, or a hot and lodge, or a workshop, garage. I'm sure they're out there, and things cost a lot of money today. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you. Speaking on the asbestos, the price that was put into the budget for demolition, seeming we don't even know if there's asbestos in there, I take it asbestos cost wasn't, or removal cost wasn't accounted for in this 5,500, or
$500 or $600.
it would be $500 or $600 to take the tile and mastic? Okay.
Is what the sanitarian estimated, but we have not tested any of it yet.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Marcus?
I'd just like to comment, if this fails, then we would be happy to put an RFP out, and then if you'd make that motion, we could see if that's the direction the council wants to go as well. But either way is fine, but we should do something with this building.
Sure, and I do think we have an opportunity here to sell it and put it out there on the, Director Radke put our last building out there on some sort of construction website or something like that, and like I said, we very successful in that, so I would, if anybody would be interested for an RFP. Anybody want to make that motion?
No, we have a motion on the floor right
Okay.
now.
And, okay. So we'll vote on this motion here and see how that goes.
Motion fails on roll call.
Yeah, their motion
2-5.
won't be in order because it's not on the agenda.
Mayor, it's not on the agenda, so it probably won't be allowed at this time. And the building can sit for 2 more weeks before we take some action on it, if that's the case, right?
It is, it's on the agenda, it's just listed as 133 Water Street. So you could take.
Attorney Kaplan?
The item is listed as 133 Water Street. If there was an alternate motion, the one that was recommended was just to demolish and restore the site, but if someone wished to make an alternate motion, that would be up to the board to decide if.
All right, thank you. Alderman Severnik.
Move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Nay? 1 nay. We are adjourned.
Broadcasts of the City of Menasha Administration Committee, Board of Public Works, and Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Menasha residents and interested parties can obtain information about these meetings and meeting agendas from the city website, www.cityofmenasha-wi.gov. Expression of opinions regarding City of Menasha issues or about these broadcasts can be made by contacting the Mayor's Office, 920-967-5117. Contacting their city alderman. Contact information appears on the website. Completing the electronic feedback form on the website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.